Welcome to part 2 of the client inquiries, client leads, client projects lists within ClickUp and how to use these lists correctly. All right, so part 1 is complete. Admin has entered in the details of the inquiry and we have our test, David's company here. That's been completed by admin. Now, admin's part in this entry is now complete. For part 2, we're going to kick off from the point where the business development team will be assigning somebody to the task and moving it from the inquiries list over to the leads list. Now, the inquiries list should be cleared out within sort of 24, at worst 48 hours, because obviously these tasks, particularly ones that are coming in via admin from the jot form entry. And if you're not familiar with this, go back to part 1 video. But the jot form inquiry will allow you to enter the thing and have it automatically arrive onto ClickUp, but it will not be assigned. So those unassigned tasks will need to be followed up by assigning somebody and getting in touch with those inquiries within 24, 48 hours. So we're at that point. The admin has entered in this inquiry, test David's company. Now, say I am part of the business development team and we want to start working on this inquiry. We are going to assign myself in this instance to it, but you can assign anyone from the business development team here. You can assign yourself if you are the one that's going to be taking it. Now, once you're assigned, we want to then open this up and we want to move it from, use the little symbol up here that says move task, and we want to put it straight onto the leads list. Now, so you'll see the pop-up down here, it's moved to the leads list. So we will then go, it's now off the client inquiries list. We'll go into our clients space and then client leads. And you will now find this business task, this inquiry task that's now in the leads. Generally speaking, it will be at the bottom of the list. Now what we need to then do is open this up and we can start working on this inquiry. Obviously we can add in all the details that we need to, the department that it might be, the emails and the phone numbers, contacts should be across from the inquiry. The only thing that won't come across from when the inquiry is if there is, if admin has linked in a relationship, as in the organization, and you would have to relink it. It will get lost once it's moved from the other list. Now let's go to organizations. And we could search in anything here and we'll go David. I don't think there's going to be anything there, but look, there we go. We've got some test organizations, right? So they could be there assigned to this particular task and re-linked for the relationship. That's the only part that needs to be done. From here, the activity section is where you would say that today we made initial contact call and discussed the options available for PFAS, let's say. Now the contact indicated they wanted 10 done on site, and the step is that IOH to create a quote. So we're going to send that in there. Now, if there's emails that are going back and forth, you can obviously drop the emails into the attachment section down here as well. Now, what we do need to do as well that we haven't yet done, since we've moved this this inquiry or this task over from the inquiries list to the leads list, we're no longer at inquiry stage. We now need to say it's been moved to leads section. Now, as soon as we've done this activity here where we're going to start developing the quote, we want to then change this status, not using the not quoted. Those are if this would end here, if this initial contact failed, well, not failed, but it's not going to progress any further. They decided they don't want to use the service, they don't need the service, then that's when we'd use the not quoted. If we're talking to them, and we might not necessarily have opened up the quote as such yet, but we're talking to them about quoting them or the services available, we're going to sit it in the developing quote status. Now, obviously, once the quote has been created and sent, you can change that to a quote sent. If they've got it, obviously there's amendments. Once they accept, it's quote accepted. Or obviously if they don't, the quote is declined, and then that is where you would then finish the task and mark it as complete. Now, if they accept the actual quote, let's say they've confirmed quote details and are accepting And then we want to say IOH to arrange service. So from here, we're obviously now moving into the project phase of this inquiry or this task. So what we're then going to do is we're going to go quote accepted. It would then move to the next list and would go into projects. Now, once we get to the project list, obviously all the contact details that we've just been going through there in the activity section will remain. And that's available for whoever is doing the actual project completion or service delivery to view if they wish. But what we want to then do is create subtasks for the actual completions of the project. As in, it might be that somebody needs to attend the workplace for a screening visit of the appropriate equipment availability. So we're going to say there's going to be a workplace visit, and then we're going to assign that to the person who's going to complete it. Now, let's say this is going to be, let's just say it's myself, but it would be somebody else. It wouldn't be the business development team member. It would be potentially, say we're going to do a pre-employment in Wollongong. It might be Phil who's going to go and do it, so we would assign Phil. If there's a second part of that project, say they also wanted audios as this part, not just a PFAR, and they needed the nursing side of things, then we'd create another subtask. Save that one first. Then we'd create another subtask and go audio completion / booking. And we're going to then assign that to one of the nursing team. Maybe it's Katie, etc. Now, we won't add Katie to that task at this point because we don't want it showing up in a list, as this is only a test, but that would be what you would do to add that example in there to allow it to be seen as a subtask for a different assignee. So these subtasks then are essentially independent of the main overarching task, and they can be completed by the individual assignee. Now, obviously, once those two are completed and the whole thing is finished, we then have the original assignee come through and complete the overall task, and it will then disappear off the lists. It will become into those completed filtered lists that you would need to see. This process then allows us to have a dashboard that captures all of the tasks that are entered across the list and at what point the quote status has got to show how successful we are in capturing the inquiries and turning them into actual work. That should complete this particular video. If you have any questions, please get in touch with the business development team to discuss further.